But what about your predictions then? I know I've just sort of rambled on about team lineups and border defenses, but I think Revenge has got this. But I
For
sense
me, it's a bit of a tough one because definitely Revenge has the upper hand as they've pretty much shown what they can be capable, what they're capable to do. They've really that clean sweep really showed them. But then even with the Lucendi game, Timber they were close. They were really close in really some of those rounds. So, and I feel like maybe after such a how to say shock game, I think they wake up. Then I think they probably now understood what they need to change, what they need to do. So, uh, as much as I would actually like to see Timber really showing that whatever was last week was a fluke, is as much as I believe that Revenge is still gonna take it, but I'm really hoping to see that Timber is gonna pull down Revenge and it's gonna make them really struggle. So I'm really hoping to see a 7-5, 7-4 those score lines. But yeah, I think it's confident enough to say that Timber definitely will perform this time way better. But then yet again, maybe Revenge is really just like Lucendi, just completely dominant in their whole map and their whole gameplay. But we're gonna see now the first band's gonna roll in, and the first band will be from Revenge. And as we're now waiting down on the countdown, we're gonna see a Thermite getting banned.
that is
Very
an interesting one. Yeah, I think we're so used to seeing Maverick Capital come off the board for. Oh no, sorry, we're looking at border right here. Sorry,
yeah,
first.
we're looking at border. I mean, seeing Thermite banned, I mean it's common. I mean,
Oh,
it definitely takes out and a Thatcher as well. So it's gonna be a struggle. Not gonna lie. Um, we see now from Timber also having the Echo Band, very strong defender, like really strong on plant denial. And last but not least, Mira, as we've so commonly seen her getting banned. So we still got the Maestro in play, still a very strong defender. And
yeah, he's part of that sort of trio that was usually. I mean, for ages they were the three that you banned outright, depending on which map it would be. Sometimes you'd see the mirror go through perhaps on a consulate pick or something. But yeah, those three usually they've been so commonly banned in the past year or more so far. In fact, pretty much since bans became a thing. Starting to see a little bit more variation on the defensive bans now that the meta is slightly shifting away from those intel based ops, but still they're just so ingrained in how teams like to play and like to set up. Yeah, so it does mean that we are going to be seeing Kez on that Maestro. And yeah, contrary to what you just saw on that little graphic, the first map is Border. We're going to be starting here. So Revenge are hot off the back of that pretty impressive 7-0 win here. And they are going to be starting on defense as they did last time. So uh, we expect to see them on the Armory, as that was their first choice last time, and they are going to stick with that. Just in case, as a little sneak preview. If they manage to win this, they'll probably go Vents and then Bathroom. That was their kind of preferred cycle. But yeah, I think Tim should be well equipped if they have done their homework, like mentioned, to kind of walk through this if they know how Revenge are going to set up.
I mean, seeing right now, I see the possibility for them to either have the chance to take over Office and go for there, or just go for the Armory breach. But through Armory, it will be a tougher fight because they definitely have to clear out a person behind Catwalk and really need to make sure that they're able to plant without any disturbance. Having a smoke there is really not going to help the attackers. So that's even more important to get him out first, because later in the round you will definitely gonna feel his smoke canister coming off. We see Brainless opening up a hole. Did he trying to? What is he doing?
See, that's exactly what the homework is, because we saw Temp playing that position so often last week. That Doc just in the office sandwich, and now they know that he's going to be there, and they're bringing. They haven't quite brought the tools to take him out, but those pre-fires through the ceiling, I guess, trying to do something about it. Really what you want to
Uh,
get is a frag grenade underneath, but of course it being a dock, that doesn't necessarily guarantee you the kill. So I think the
I
call's coming
think.
here for Zofia to try and double impact it.
Oh no, I think I know what he's
Ah,
gonna do. Brainless will then try to put a Nomad trap on it, force Temp to pretty much being helpless, and then Carl Roger's gonna rush in and finish him off. If that's the right plan, if I'm thinking.
that would be a really big brain play. A bit of a convoluted one. Surely you just think about, maybe bringing a frag, pairing it with the impact from a Zofia. Like, that would do enough damage to take down a dock no matter what. But um, looks like they are maybe going for that sort of approach. Either way, they definitely understand the setup right here from Revenge, but it's not giving them any advantage just yet. Just about 50 HP's worth of damage onto Verge on the Jaeger is all that Timber have going for them right now. Still 1 minute 20 left on the clock, but this is quite a slow clear, all things considered. Still no one set footing inside the building, and everyone's just sort of prepping to jump into CCTV, playing these windows, playing these doors. And we have a push in finally from the Zofia, but it's shut down by Temp at range. But Fluff finding Verch in response. It's a 4 versus 4 now, but your Zofia's gone. And there's still a player sat inside of CCTV, just in that little cubby there.
Yeah, we
Looks
see
like
Exile trying to go forward to 90. Brainless gonna pick off Nerf as he will take down the Wamai. So with that, having now CCTV fully under their control, um, although Temp is still in the position where he's gonna get in danger for anyone go to break room, but Exile trying to give him a little hint, give him a few flashes to go. But yet again, he's trying to push him, trying to still having afterthoughts about it, as it is a dog who's gonna peek him, and we're just gonna see Velva gonna nade out Cass right from down below, and Exile is just gonna take the kill finally to Temp, eliminating the dog. It's just on Xenix to really go for the last round, but yeah, Velva finished him off, and a little nice check if the control key is working on his
yeah,
teammate there.
you got to keep that keyboard nice and lubricated. So
But it has to work, you never know.
yeah. Well, that was a pretty successful push there from Timber. Gotta be honest. It looked like they were spending a little bit too much time preparing for the execute, but we didn't see much of the actual push through the um through the armory wall. Of course, with no thatch or no thermite and no thatcher, it does make it challenging to get through that wall. But we did have the Maverick nading from below and taking out that vital sort of bunker position. And as soon as you do that, then you're actually you're not in a bad spot to just push in through the doorway itself, as long as you've got a bit more control. They got the frags basically that were necessary in CCTV. Didn't lose too many bodies going in because they were so aware of Temp's position and the angle he had to play in order to get kills. He still got a kill from that position. So props to Temp there. Despite the focus and the knowledge of his location, he still managed to pull something out for his team. But in the end, it was the only kill of the round for Revenge. And it just wasn't enough. They managed to clear out that CCTV hold and then clear out the site itself. And by that point, the dock was pretty much a non-factor. So good stuff from Timber, and it's promising, definitely, on a map where we did see Revenge go completely flawless last week.
I mean, well, indeed. I mean, even as you mentioned that Timber was quite slow. I think that's the beauty of having different teams. Like, you can build it up to aggressive one. You can build it up fast. You can either wait for it with the execution, get everyone aligned and coordinated to do so, as Timber successfully did. Because sometimes being fast or just being aggressive is not gonna work out. And I like the approach, especially on CCTV, as it is really one of the key positions in that map to really gain control. Even for like a bomb site, like ventilations or even customs, it's just so important to really have that control, because it's your sort of like your first entry point there.
Yeah, it gives you a bit of cover inside the building, which is always useful because you don't want to be fighting from windows and from doorways for the whole map. Ooh! Wow! I
Did
can't
he
believe we got to see
just
that.
did
Yeah,
it?
he did just hit that. That's down.
What
Fluff.
a shot!
Yep, Fluff apparently has got his good
Unbelievable.
stars there, I guess. Verch just been downed as well from the window. That looks like it was probably the work of Brainless Heroes and Nomad, but Fluff might have had something to do with that as well. I guess we'll see, because he's relatively out of reach for the defenders, so that might be pretty much... Oh no, sorry, I speak too soon, or too late. Verch has been rezzed, so it looks like he dropped through there, dropped through the hatch and got taken up. So that top floor surrendered now by Revenge, and Timber in good position with those air jabs, especially to make sure that they maintain that vertical presence and don't have to worry about any flanks up the stairs. These holes being prepped here, no dedicated soft destructor really besides the Zofia, but often those impact grenades are sort of put to better use than just softening up the floor. And it's going to be mostly the work of Fluff with those breach charges to do something on the floor. But it looks like Nerf is going to be attempting this flank, and we've got a little cheeky peek here coming from Verch as well. So a couple of X factors here for the defense. They do need something to go in their direction here, as it is a 5 versus 4 still. And it looks like Nerf has gone undetected, but he must be coming within range of a air jab at some point. It doesn't matter anyway, because Exile just shuts him down straight off the bat. Now
Shuts
it's
him
a
down.
3 versus
Flank
5.
opportunity done. At least Cass is gonna revenge himself behind the C4 with on Exile, but that's really unfortunate for Revenge because they had their opportunity now to flank. Now it's just gonna be a very close-up fight because it's Xenix and Verge and Cass who really have to defend it from their side, but having
Only
that top floor
15
control is
It's only
just
15 seconds left, though, and the attackers aren't winning this. They aren't sticking to the diffuser. There's the diffuser down. Verch has it. He could get a second. No, he doesn't, but it's all up to Sejinex. He just needs to survive. Diffuser going down, but he's getting the flank here. There is cover, though, and it looks like it's going to be Carl Rogers' kill all day long. And that was a very close one at the end there, just off of a bit of hesitancy from Timber. But they do manage to see that out. So yeah, not bad. Not bad Timber. Definitely much, much better than UX managed to fare against Revenge last time around on this map. So we're going to have a second attempt at Armory Lockers now. Not Armory Archives. So I'm not quite sure what Revenge are going to be doing here, because we didn't see them come under any pressure last time, and we don't know what their kind of adaptability game is like here, at least. Yeah, I'm gonna reserve judgment for the time being. Castle's being brought out. I think he was part of that first defensive setup as well, or was he not? Oh no, it was the 1Y. So the swap to the 1Y again this time. Just presumably we're going to see the same setup then from Revenge.
I mean, fairly excited to see Brainless bringing out the Ying, because seeing now the trend that Ying pretty much received a nice healthy buff. Have seen her now in some other leagues, having her in play, and she really made a game change. As
Yeah.
I mean, just finally the power of the LMG got up. The smokes are really helping for the plant in situations. Flashes are just coming out everywhere. I mean, it's like having such a heavy drone that now it's just like a hell to play against her. So maybe we'll see something quite unique, seeing that maybe Timber will continue to use the Ying. Maybe we'll see Revenge pick out Warden for once. That would be a very nice counter.
It's always been said that that would potentially bring Warden in, but it's still just the fact that he's got basically a selfish utility. I think all it's going to do is mean that we see Wamai and Jaeger skyrocket. I mean, they were already pretty high, but it wasn't all the time that you saw both being brought every round. And now, with the fear of Ying, I think we're going to see Wamai Jaeger lots and lots. And yeah, those Candelas are pretty nightmarish. So you need to bring something to deal with them, but not just for yourself, for your team as well. And that's why I think we're probably going to see them more. So it looks as though we've got, once again, this kind of hold up in CCTV. The Jaeger and the Wamai both in place, ready and equipped to deal with those Candelas should they come out. But all of the pressure from every side is being put on here by Timber. They're not exposing themselves to temp in that same position just yet, but he's still holding that angle, and the entry does have to worry about the dock from that range. It looks like they're more focused on pushing in here from the west side, so not worrying too much about that break room door. And here comes the first Candela.
Or not.
Looks like he's having a bit of a problem trying to attach it to the door there.
I mean,
Or the
I'm
window.
really... See, this is what I mean. Like, Timber really setting up to gain that control of CCTV, that they really take every resource they hope really can. And the Fluff is going to take down the first kill on Verge, which is going to limit the Jaeger inside CCTV. And Nerf just managed to escape, but I think we're going to see Valva going to pick him up maybe later. But it seems like Timber really now has, again, they have the control of CCTV. Now it's for them the objective to push on further into their side. And we see Nerf down on Easters all by himself. He gets droned out. So now it's for him really dangerously to cross, as he's gonna get uptickled in a little gunfight right there, but manages to escape on site with no problem.
So about 40 seconds left here, and the stun's coming out here to force back the armory presence, and then the flashes as well. You can imagine in a few seconds we're going to get a barrage of Candelas, as these are just the pawns that are being sent in to soak up that utility, and then the Candelas will come in and we'll get a big explosive push here from Timber. But it's 17 seconds left now, so it has to happen pretty quickly. Still 4 people alive on the defense, and really that's an advantage here, despite that man advantage for the attackers, but that's gone now as Nerf finds the head of Brainless. The pre-fire through the door is going to stop anyone coming through, and Carl Roger does find one big flurry of kills there as Timber just light up the board. Those Candelas doing their work. You can hear them going off here. Oh no, it wasn't even Candelas, it was just pure raw power from Timber.
I mean, we just see, like, I think what Timber had last week was a fluke, and they're really showing now that they definitely learned, and they're definitely working on that. I mean, already with a 3-round lead, and Revenge still hasn't been able to really to pick up. I mean, every round so far had been dominant by Timber. I'm just amazed to see, like, from what they came, like, having the potential to really take out a good game from just right now skyrocketing those 3 rounds. And I think this trend will continue. Definitely.
Well, it would certainly seem that way. If Revenge keep coming back to Armory, that's where they're going to be putting themselves here for their second attempt at the defense, or sorry, fourth attempt at the defense. I don't know where I got second from, but it's yeah. What's the definition of insanity? Banging your head against or like doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We are seeing a Kaid, so there is some adaptation being brought here. Dropping that Wamai, it's just not working out for them at the moment. It's an interesting kind of, like, back and forth game that you have to do with this utility. Now, obviously, there's been a big problem, or, well, some see it as a problem. You could call it a development, I guess, in the Siege meta, where the attackers just found themselves without enough utility to deal with all of the potential denial on the defense. But I guess Ying just throws a spanner in the works now, but I'm not too sure whether it's a healthy balance change in general, because it shouldn't rest on the shoulders of one operator to make that kind of balance better again. But I mean, for the time being, it does give the attackers a definite boost. And obviously, this new patch, it's come between Playdays 1 and 2, so this is the patch that we're most likely going to be seeing out the rest of the season on. So perhaps a lot of the info that we get off that first week can just be thrown out the window, you know? Like, Revenge put up a flawless defense on Border, suddenly Ying becomes a thing, and now they can't scrape together a round on it.
I mean, definitely, this game has been, and throughout many seasons, been very defender-sided, and some maps even way more than others. Only Coastline being really the one that really favored the attacker more than the defenders, but I think now with that, it's finally going to hopefully to a 50-50 ratio. where like it doesn't really matter on which side you start. You can either way win it with both of them, and it's just a welcomed thing, honestly. And we see that Verge and Temp are really trying to hold each other right there, as Temp has the view onto the office window, which he's gonna use to eliminate Fluff right there, and Verge has the angle to potentially save Temp right there, but Temp's gonna get a second kill as Verge is being pressured on. Exile is finally gonna take down on Verge, meaning their office defense is gone.
If
And
Temp can get a third from this position, then that's very impressive because the first couple of goes, first one you can understand that long angle not being predicted, but that's exactly why you usually clear CCTV. Obviously, Timber opting for this slightly different officers push. It hasn't really gone their way so far. 50 seconds left and they're in a 3 versus 4, so they do need to find some opening here, and that might be trying to get this smoke gone. He's actually managed to drop the hatch there, so offices or archives itself is clear. Valber does find him with a frag grenade, so that must have been through the hatch.
that
What?
is,
Temp
well,
finding a
well
third,
indeed.
though.
Temp is just also gonna make down another kill right there, and Velber is on site, but he is having to deal with that massive 80 round from Kes, and we just see Kes finishing off Carl Roger there. I mean, you can't handle against that ammo monster, as we've just seen.
Did need to whip out that bailiff to finish him off just for the style points, of course, but yeah, that was a one round there by Timber, and specifically, oh sorry, by Revenge, and specifically by Temp doing a great job on the dot, picking up a big 3-piece on the round from two from the same position. I didn't quite catch where that third one was from, but that's exactly why you take CCTV control. It gives you so much of a sight over the rest of the map. No matter where you are on the top floor, you have to worry about CCTV, especially if those walls have been opened up. And it was basically the same angle just being played in reverse, right? So you had Verge sitting as the Jaeger in Sandwich this time round, and Temp instead sort of trading places with him, sitting in CCTV. So that was perfectly read into there, and the adaptation from Timber to try and just mix things up, I guess, because their approach was working before that, but I think they felt the need to be a bit more unpredictable, and Revenge just ran into that, basically. Or Revenge read into that, rather, so yeah, I think it shows some promise from Revenge that they can manage to hold out a defense at least, and they've managed to, yeah, sort of hold it down for a little bit for the time being.
I mean, it's now really time for Revenge to pick it up again, as I mean that round, like as you said, Temp getting the better hold of them. It's really now really has to come now from Revenge, because coming off of that 7-0, really now having to, well, almost having to try to save it, to say the least, for them. And we're now entering, seeing now Timber entering East Stairs, and Verge now holding an angle on Archives, but and what's going to be important for Timber is to take down whatever is upstairs very fast, as just Carl Roger did right now with Verge. He's gonna try to spray ahead in order maybe to find one, but Nerf is right there, and we also see Cass down there holding an angle on that Archives window. So Revenge has it on lockdown pretty much, but Carl Roger is gonna take one of their holes as well to maybe find someone there, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to spawn someone anytime soon. As Fluff gets a kill on Nerf, eliminating the castle on top. Rocha takes down Caster Meister downstairs through that hole he was peeking at, and it's right now down to Saynix and Temp. to defend it, and it's not looking good. They lost top stairs. Timber is still on their full man strength, and what a they have to really pull something out of the hat that really will take it.
With Temp still on the board, anything can happen. So far, he's been by far the best performer for Revenge, but these air jabs going out to prep for a Vents plant should make it very difficult for the retake if this diffuser does manage to go down. Revenge still trying to get a pick here or there. They need to give themselves something. 2v5 is not what you want in a post-plant situation, and it looks like it might be just that very shortly. Carl Roger be coming in here, and he does manage to hunt down Sanex, and that's leaving Temp in a 1 versus 5 ace clutch situation. He does find the first, but can he get any more than that? He's stuck in the middle of the map here, and that's the worst place to be when you've got 4 guns watching all the rotates. It's going to be Exile to find that one, obviously, and Timber putting themselves up a very commanding 4-1 so far in this match.
Ay, ay, ay.
That was
I
also the
mean,
first time we saw Revenge actually like completely fall apart early round. It was Timber, basically their previous 3 round wins had all been kind of, well, nail biting really. They came right down to the wire. Most of those pushes happening in the last 20 seconds or so, but that one was so much more efficient, and they found themselves 3 men up with still a minute and a half left, and that's so much control, so much time to establish where the last couple of defenders are. They looked like they might have been able to go for a plant as well. It just, that was a complete stomp there from Timber. So uh, so far, both mine and your predictions are really being thrown out the window here.
I mean, I wanted to have Timber get some rounds, but in the end, I felt like Revenge is gonna take it. But I think I made a wrong prediction there.
Well, we still got the second half to go, obviously, so it could just flip on its head. We might see Revenge. We haven't actually seen Revenge attack border more than once. They only had 1 attacking round on it on the Sunday, so that might be where Timber are lacking a bit of information in terms of how Revenge like to play border. But they've still got some sort of general info from Clubhouse if they've had, if they've done their homework. I keep saying it, but homework is important, kids.
That's the reason why you have analysts and coaches.
Exactly. So, Nerf going to be bringing that castle yet again. Seems to be a pretty important operator to them in terms of their defensive setup. And he does serve many purposes on this map in particular. He can lock down sight lines. He can sort of channel attackers into certain corridors very easily on this map in particular. So you can pretty much make all of those long corridors like an absolute no man's land for attackers, which can be a bit of a challenge when it comes to sort of taking maps, taking rooms gradually. CCTV, that can be done pretty easily, but if you've got castle barricades locking out a lot of the top floor, then it becomes challenging to and risky to push along those corridors. You've got to do a lot of drone work and prep work before you can then clear past CCTV, which is often the main entry point. But looks as though it's going to be taken over already straight away by Exile. And Fluff in there as well. Carl Roger just stationed outside on the balcony. They're prepping to take control of Armory. Obviously, this is a very vertical hold. Oh, nice shot there from Exile, finding the head of Verge. And that's just leaving Temp and one other defender. I didn't quite catch that. Nerf. There we are. Castle sat up top. And they have to try and burn as much time and utility as possible up here to give their anchors a chance, or possibly retreat at the optimum moment.
I mean, Fluff now trying to make sure that Supply and Jail are going to be free for them. So in order for them, they can drop down the custom hatch, go down. Valber is trying to open up the breach in Jail. I'm not sure, but we definitely still have Temp and Nerf play upstairs, which is still going to hold up Timber quite heavily, as Carl Roger, for instance, and Brainless still haven't been able to get them out. And we are now seeing Exile, if I believe, closing in further on them, just from the 90s hallway. But Temp is very tempted to drop down that hatch, which he's not gonna do because he's gonna find the kill on Exile. But with that, also Roger just managed to enter in. And we just see a little bit of rampage down upstairs because Nerf is gonna shut down Carl Roger, but Fluff is gonna take a revenge for that. So we're down on a 3v3. We're now at 30 seconds, and Timber just right now just managed to have control of top floor, but is it going to be time enough for them to go down and plant or take down the last remaining defenders?
Temp did such a good job of baiting the player into the castle there and getting that trade on the top floor. But we have only 15 seconds left, and the defenders look like they have pretty good control. We still got C4s probably in all three hands here. No, first one goes out from Fez. Oh, the angle! That tight angle, and now the diffuser's down, and it just leaves the Nomad to try and go in. And now Fluff has to do the impossible job of covering. He does find the first one, but he's immediately... What happened there? Oh, they're down on the planter! That's it! The Nomad goes down, the diffuser planting is cancelled, and the defenders take that round.
Just narrowly, really narrowly. I can't believe it. That angle from Cass, shutting down the plant at first hand, really enabled them to secure that round. And I don't know about you. Yes. I think my eyes are working correctly. It's just a question.
It's a question of whether it's going to be 6 picked away from or not. This could just be memeing right here from Brainless.
I mean, well, we got to be sure that
part of the setup.
Still yet
to see. F in chat. F in chat.
Let's get an F in chat. Still yet to see a really successful Tachanka strat. Having a team
Honestly,
breaking that out.
Who was it? Kanto in like 6 Invitational 2018 or 2019. I can't remember. They pulled out.
No,
GT pulled out a Tachanka strat, or maybe it was a major. I can't remember.
It was Uno. It was Uno who it was Uno or Shade who also did it on Coastline, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
They've also put that one out, and
oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm mixing up 2 different peaks. So Kanto got a really cool peak where Fluff is right now as a dock onto the sort of the south spawn. But then I think at a later date, Uno set up a turret in the exact same spot and got the same pick, but as Tachanka. So there's your Siege history. I think that's accurate. Anyone in chat or whatever, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But back to this game anyway. That was a good round there from Revenge on the defense. They did lean into a bit more heavily the use of the Mozzie and the Mute that time round. It was very difficult for Timber to actually locate those defenders in Armory, and we saw so much time being wasted because of it. Whereas the previous defense, they just sort of bypassed that and swept through very easily from offices. It was much more delayed by Revenge that time round. So that's what gave them the edge in that round. It was finally let them actually leverage that timer that was working actually with them for a lot of the rounds that Timber somehow managed to take on their attacking half. But finally, I've said finally way too many times, but finally, Timber actually just not putting up a good enough execute when it came down to it in the end. So that's what was really rescuing them against the timer those first 3 or 4 rounds.
We're seeing Nerf having huge chunks of his HP getting lost by Carl Roger through, I think he just have the hole on half wall just on that door. Not really beneficial for Revenge right now, as IQ is a very important operator, but also same goes for Sophia, as just gonna get killed, and Fluff just nicely nodding. Yep, you just did it, buddy. You just hit your shot there, right?
So that's 4 versus 5 now for in favor of Timber on the defense, and still 1 minute and 12 seconds left, so Attackers still have plenty of time to try and do something about it. But if their droning is as inefficient as that, they might find it a bit tough. But it looks as though the focus is actually going to be split here. We've got a couple of players pressuring into Armory, and then a couple on that Archives balcony, trying to create an opening there and just make it so that the defenders can't sit too pretty. The run out almost working. C4 flies astray, and in fact, that's a defender down. Valber being put down by the window doesn't necessarily know that nerf. I think he's actually completely unaware that that down came through, so Valber might see himself rezzed back up as long as the defense sort of brave enough to go for it. And there we have Fluff managing to pick him back up. 25 seconds left, the first gas canister coming out from Exile, and Carl Rogers full flashed here, just a regular flash grenade, but Temp has been down, and now Exile managing to find Sejanix as he exposes his legs, Nerf trading back, but Brainless getting an Evil Eye kill, and that's Diffuser down as well. It's all Nerf in a 1 versus 3, he can't find it. Carl Roger picking up, sorry, that's Temp picking up that final kill, Carl Roger credited with the down. It's Exile picking up the final kill, finally got it right.
And we're entering round 8 now, and yeah, 5-2. Are we gonna see the comeback from Revenge though?
I'm not sure. I personally think that this is Timbers all the way. We're actually seeing them go for a bathroom defense now on their second defensive round. We did mention on Sunday that this is climbing in popularity, and it would seem that Timber are fans of it as well. So Revenge didn't even get a chance to go here. This was going to be their sort of third choice site, but Timber going to take us here on their second time of asking.
Just, I mean, it's a nice way to throw Revenge a bit off, especially because pretty much before you even have chosen your site and everything, you're pretty much on mental lockdown. You say like, okay, they will go there, let's prep this, and then you drone out and then finally realize, oh, that's the wrong side. You're kind of like throwing a bit of your preparation in the beginning, so definitely gives a very teeny tiny favor for Timber there, as it will help them, but not necessarily much. But we see their office is gonna get locked down, really, in order to prevent them taking that top floor, because going into that site just straight horizontally, opening the breach and plant is pretty much impossible, as you're gonna get held off from top floor. So you need to take that control to really have a chance on planting there. So it's really down to Timber whether they can hold top floor without losing too much or giving it away, but with minor time waste right there in terms of really time left for Timber to actually push through and go through. And yeah, just a little bit of interesting, because we can see right now here as how different both teams really work, because we see CCTV just getting quickly taken in by Revenge, not on just like Timber, which really used all of their men to clear it out, go through, and have it secured. And just you can see how different these two teams are really working. And the C4 just goes through. So goodbye, Verge.
That's a good prep C4 there. Fed the information from either a camera or that player sitting back. Fluff going to be finding another one. The head of Nerf taken clean off, and that's your Ash and your IQ gone. So a couple of your sort of main fragging operators, I suppose, off the board, and those two star performers as well. It's not looking great for Revenge on this attack at all. They don't quite know how to deal with this hold, and Valber with the prepped little bullet holes there, finding Temp as well. This is really not great for Revenge at all. Kez and Sejanex have it all to do. 2 versus 5 now. Kez could look to get one cheekily here as he peeks in, takes down the Jaeger, but the immediate trade coming off there from Brainless, as the Jaeger's still not confirmed, and it could be a semi-flawless round here for Timber. They've just got to find one more. Finally a confirmed kill coming for the Habana, but he's only on 20 HP, and that is it for him. Carl Roger finding him quite easily there, and the attackers didn't even get close to site there.
Not at all, and with that round, Timber secures themselves at least a point now. just I mean, I'm seeing. I think I'm not seeing straight because this just comes off really from. I can repeat it many times. Coming off the really really terrible result from last week, and just absolutely showing what they're capable of. Just amazing thing to see, and we're gonna see now customs and supply for the first time as well.
Now this is a very odd rotation that we're seeing from Timber. They're throwing down the gauntlet right here. They are on match point, and whether this is their preferred third site or not, maybe they're just saying, "Hey, we've got a couple of buffer rounds, so to speak. We can always go back to Armory, go back to Bathroom in a few rounds' time. We can even go to Vents. So why not give ourselves a good go at the customs hold? Of course, this might actually be their preferred third site. It's a good map border in the sense that you can take the defense anywhere you like, and everywhere is viable to a certain extent. But Customs definitely sort of turning to the least favorite site in recent times with this sort of surge that Bathroom and Tellers has made in terms of site choice. And we're seeing yet again the castle come out from Timber. I think we might have seen a castle every single round from both teams, as well as the Jaeger, and that's just speaking to the sort of the big change that he saw. We're getting that super shorty and having that utility on his side, despite having such a weak gun, famously noted as the worst gun in the game by Canadian. It's not stopping him from seeing so much play.
Castle is really, let's be real, you just pick him for his utility. I mean, he's got this pretty much unique set of barricades. He's got now a shotgun as well. He also got impacts to reinforce, or you choose to have a bulletproof camp. I mean, he is really he just can make a room just look 10 times more different, and it's really what stands out on him. And with Castle, you're pretty much enabling unique strats, but then again, you're not really sort of a gunner with that gun. You have a very slow fire rate. It's really hurting. There's not a lot of recoil though, but then again, it feels odd when you have guns that have some sort of kick where you used to control them, and then you have a gun that doesn't really have any recoil and it just shoots slow. It just feels so awkward. But as we're just gonna see right now, Kes trying to take out Brainless there from underneath.
He's taken about 30 HP worth of damage there, but he was sat a bit further back than that angle could afford Kez. And it just means that was fairly ineffective. Temp's going to be finding Brainless, and Verch clearing out Exile, though, means that this top floor hold has pretty much been dealt with, but Fluff claiming one in return on Nerf as he falls back to site. And now all the defenders from Timber have managed to drop down to the bottom floor, and with about a minute left, they do find themselves a man down, but now this utility of the castle barricades and all of the extra defender utility that's prepped down here is going to be a bit of a problem for Revenge. Looks like Verch is almost on to the castle here, but Valbo playing smart, taking out that drone from behind, does hold that tight angle, but he gives himself away, but still gets the kill, and Fluff finding one elsewhere as well takes it now to a defender advantage, 2 versus 3, and Sejenex and Kez left with 25 seconds to find 3 kills or go for this plant. It's going to be very tough. They're both on the top floor still, and all of the entryways to site are pretty much covered, so it's going to be incredibly difficult here for them to gain anything. X-Kairos come out onto the barricade
10
there.
seconds left on the board. It's not looking good for Revenge. They just need to find a very quickly kill with 5 seconds remaining. Sene is gonna get shut down, and same goes for Kes, and a surprising victory for Timber. And a dominant one as well.
Dominant especially. That was such a showing on border from Timber. We didn't get to see them here last week, but they're certainly looking like a better border side than they are Coastal Club. But Clubhouse is where we are heading next, so that's going to be a tough one for them potentially, as Revenge do have that VOD on them, obviously. Fluff picking up the slack there with 12 kills, putting Revenge to shame with the low frag count they've managed to get across the board there. So, how how did that happen? How did we see Timber just pretty much demolish Revenge right there?
I mean, I'm just actually sort of half speechless because we seen the potential. You know, we seen that they can do it. It was just like there was a spark missing for them really to do it, and just now it was like, wow. I mean, they had like the foundation already laid out, but they didn't want to execute it in the right way. But well, and now they just literally pulled it together and literally showed that Revenge, they're not an enemy for them. Just amazement.
Yep. So, well, that's our first map done. In case you're new here, we do best of twos. So that's map 1 out the way. Map 2 will be Clubhouse, and we're just going to have a quick 5-minute break here. So do stay with us, get yourself a drink, and come back shortly. We'll be back in just 5 minutes. Be back.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the second map between Timber and Revenge. And joining me still again is Gary the Music Man. Say hi.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much, Tyrrell. It's good to be back. Yep. So short break just there, and now we're heading to Clubhouse. So Border looked very one-sided, and it was not necessarily the side that we were expecting. That was
Absolutely
a
not.
pretty big showing from Timber there. Something I noticed as well, looking at the fixtures for this week, we've basically got, if I'm not mistaken, it's like the top half of the table versus the bottom half of the table after the first week. So there's the potential for a lot of sort of stompings or like one-sided games, but also like we see here, like the potential for a lot of upsets. So I think it's going to be a really exciting week. And yeah, this is a good way to start it.
I mean, indeed, none of us really expected Timber to come out on top on that first map, but we've been proven absolutely wrong. I
Yeah. At
mean,
what point do we have to stop being surprised, I think, is the
yeah,
question.
it's just. Um, I mean, I think now what probably I've learned, at least personally, and is that probably never should underestimate a team. And I think with Timber now, we pretty much learned that lesson. You can have one really horrible day, or just not really showing your everything all, and just on the next day you just can absolutely make a blowout, just completely crush the enemy team. And I mean, I'm just excited to see Clubhouse because Clubhouse worked for Timber not really in favor, and Revenge lost there a few rounds. So maybe we will see if Revenge has actually done the upper edge again, or if Timber is just gonna come out on top, just like on Border.
Yeah. One thing that we'll probably see when we get into the map, something that sort of stood out for me when Revenge took Clubhouse last week against UX was that they banned out Hibana and Kaid, which is a bit of an odd pairing to go, especially from Clubhouse. You expect the Maverick bans, the Capital bans, sometimes Thatcher's coming off, but rarely do you see Hibana going. And it meant that that basement defense was a much stronger hold for both teams. In fact, it just meant that those hatches were so much harder to deal with. But it looks as though we're getting on into the map right now, and you can see it is Clubhouse, Timber versus Revenge. Are you ready?
Just gonna come off with the first ban of Revenge, and the first attacker who's gonna be out of this map is gonna be Hibana.
Yeah,
So
so that's exactly what we saw last time from them, and it's like I said, it is going to make that basement hold a lot stronger for them. But also, it means that we will see how Timber responds to this. Looks like it's going to be the Thatcher ban. So Maverick in play on Clubhouse as well as Capital could be a tough defensive cache, is what I'm thinking.
that very well indeed. I mean, the Maverick definitely enables to get CCTV open, but oh yeah, just with Hibana thinking of basement or something like this, open up the hatches is just gonna be a nightmare. And we're also not gonna see a mirror, as pretty much being used to it by now. And just gonna be to see who's gonna be the last defender is gonna get banned out, and it is Echo. So Kaid is in play.
Kaid in play, no Hibana, no Thatcher. Last time we saw Revenge defend this map, they did ban out Kaid. So now that church defense, it should be a pretty much guaranteed round for either side. You've got no guaranteed way of opening up those hatches. Nothing to do with electro claws. Very little chance of being able to opening up as a maverick besides perhaps the motoed hatch, um, which is well, I mean the kitchen hatch is the real power match, if, of the set, and just having the maverick to try and open it up or the thermite is way too risky because of the soft floor around it. And it looks as though Revenge are going to be leaning completely into that strategy, taking the Kaid and going down to the basement.
No,
Oh,
they
no, they're
six
not.
picker off.
That's an
The six
interesting
pick off
change.
to Valkyrie. I mean, personally, I've only experienced really clubhouse games without a Kaid, just for really the main reason for those hatches and for the basement hold, and even just in general. But no, really surprised to see a such a viable operator getting six picked off for Valkyrie. I mean, Valkyrie is also useful um, in her own rights, but again, I feel like it was a mistake because you just have so much control with that Kaid. And so yeah, either Revenge is pretty confident that they don't need it, or but if they're really just gonna have such a huge ass loss, then it will definitely bite them later on. Because let's not forget the rounds that even are made here right now is gonna affect you later in the whole standings. Because you might can have the same wins as another team, but if you just couldn't make as many rounds as them, you're pretty much on the bottom line there.
I wouldn't underestimate that Valkyrie pick, to be fair, because it was 6 picked 2, and hidden Black Eyes are so deadly, especially the way Temper's positioned those. We might get a chance to see some later on, but it looked like he hid them one in bar, one in kitchen at least, and that enables C4 play from beneath, which can be so much more direct than just denying the hatches. Why not just kill the hard breaches or, the people trying to drop in? We're also seeing Brainless on the Ying as well, and that's going to be possibly a big refresher to the way that Clubhouse gets played is her presence. Because if you thought she was pretty deadly on border, I mean, Clubhouse is almost even more oppressive when you get those Candelas off in the right locations.
As we see right now, Fluff has entered the bar. I'm pretty much checking if no one's gonna sneak up. So Timber has now control of that bar. Exile gonna open up for himself tunnel with a nice round wait. Sayanix is gonna be waiting for him right there, and Carl Roger is trying to go down with a fight in blue, but not really managing to hit something, not really to lurk someone out there, as he will try to place his drone to cover off the rotation. And Temp is gonna blow up Valber with a C4, so maybe, yep, that Valkyrie cam just gave him the edge, and Temp is just gonna use that hole. It's poor Brainless. He's gonna kill him right there as well. So with that, we have the Ying and the Thermite out of the play for Timber, and they're right now down on 50 seconds, and Carl Roger is gonna sneak up. He's gonna punish Verge for it, but took him quite longer than he wanted to because just Nerf is gonna finish him off right there. So we're now in a 2v4 situation, and Hexal is still trying to open up that bar hatch. I think it's safe to say that Timber just has lost this round because they don't really have time. They need to push in and find the kills, but the longer they wait, the more, the fewer, the less chances. I mean, it's gonna slip away for them now.
Yeah, they don't even have the hatches open at all, so they're gonna have to funnel down main stairs or go for this last-ditch push through tunnel. I don't think they can even get to the end of the tunnel in 10 seconds and get the plant down, but it's gonna be a run into the meat grinder through the smoke, and the fires come in from behind the crates. Easy kills for Temp, and Ash somehow survives, but it's completely meaningless. There we have it. That's a pretty solid lockout of the bottom floor without the use of the Kaid.
I am amazed. I am very truly, because
Well, it was just what we said. Like it was a very direct counter to it. The Kaid, sure, he'll stop you getting the hatches open, but the Thermite was the one to go down from that C4, and then immediately Ying picked off through the C4 hole. Like you don't get that opportunity with Kaid. I mean, he does have C4 as well, but you're going to be more concerned of actually denying the hatch a lot of the time, and you won't have the intel that those Black Eyes will bring you. So Fluff going to be showing that IQ. Hopefully that will, I suppose that's trying to deter the use of the Valkyrie, but they're going to be playing CCTV cache now anyway, so those C4s would have to come from below onto the site after it's been taken. And sometimes as an IQ, it can be difficult to sort of leverage that gadget in the heat and the chaos of an actual site execute. So Temp actually going to be sticking with the Kai this time around. We don't have a bandit, so it's going to be the only wall denial here. You can expect to see him maybe lock off the uh, east wall and then perhaps one of the garage entrances, or perhaps both of the garage entrances. And then there's also construction. So a lot of possibilities here for Temp. Looks like he's going underneath, and that means he's probably going to be positioning that Electro Claw somewhere under the reinforcements to try and get them. But again, that's not necessarily going to be that effective because we have Fluff on the enemy side with that scanner, and quite often taking from below is just a sort of standard part of your general cache execute anyway. So we'll see how that choice works out for them. The option not to go for a bandit does strike me as potentially puzzling.
I mean, it just makes it easier for Maverick really to open it up, but it's just on how you approach it. As we see now from Exile doing it from upside down, um, especially where Temp is right now on that catwalk position. Uh, it's really a spot where you really have to conquer it, because he's in such a good position that wherever they're gonna come from, he will be in order to take them down at all. And as soon as that CCTV wall is open, that breach, as we just seen right now, as Carl Roger opens it up for it there, you need to have control of that catwalk to go in, really go into CCTV and go for the plan. Because if you don't have catwalk, your whole push inside is gonna get denied, and you can't really afford that as an attacker, especially on Clubhouse, because Clubhouse really does it really gives you an edge if you have your team play on, if you really are coordinated enough, and if you miss out on that opportunity, it's just gonna cost you the round in the end. But we see right now from Timber, as Velva tries to throw a flashbang over that wall, you can also go through construction, although your chances are to really go in and have a successful plan are more narrowed than for CCTV, because you're really fighting in a close quarters environment there. So it's really important to spot the enemy players and gun them down, and have pretty much the best coverage for your planter to go through. But we see Verge thinking of sneaking up on that main stairs to flank them, but I think
He's holding the angle onto that wall so that he can deny any breach, but it's not going to come through because there's no way of removing that Electro Claw, so there's no attempt at the breach. And it does mean that if they're going to stick with this push, then they're going to have to make it push on lots of different angles here. Fluff going to find Sejanix, though. Also worrying is Temp's current position. He's going to just eat them up as soon as they come through the doorway from Catwalk, but only 11 seconds left, so this is just going to be a meat grinder for the attack, and we'll probably see it right here. Nerf finding one, Kez finding another. As the Wamai goes down, the Ying's Candelas come through, but it's not going to do anything. And the diffuser is being stuck here, but the C4 from beneath, someone downed someone there. The planter just did not get it down. We didn't actually get to see it because, well, Ying. You don't get to see anything when Ying.
no, not at all. I mean, also Verge was that close, really that close on that head of Exile, just like a tiny second away on shutting him down whilst entering into that construction window.
That was, to be honest, it was looking quite good for Timber in a number of ways early round. They had a very efficient opening of uh the CCTV wall. They only had Carl Roger on Azofia and Exile devoted to that. Carl Roger just holding the flank, making sure that Maverick didn't get run out on. And meanwhile, you had a second unit going in um, with three attackers coming and clearing from the bedroom side. So it was always going to be a construction take. But in the end, that Electro Claw just wasn't factored into the equation. They didn't have any way of dealing with it. And that just completely rendered all of their options pretty useless on the attack, and they've wasted so much time in construction once they had it. No attempt to clear the Electroclaw wherever it may have been. It could have been from beneath, and I mean, if you have the IQ on your side, you've got to be getting her in underneath the site. But Virch was just a real thorn in Timber's side that round. He was lurking in strip. He managed to sort of weave his way in and out of cover and out of the sight of the enemy for so long that they just didn't want to go in underneath. And that's why you see bottom floor takes being such an important thing on a cash attack. But in the end, it cost Timber definitely on that one.
And let's not forget, if Verge would have rotated up, he would have had at least 4 people lined up right there. As we haven't seen Timber really split up, use that CCTV breach as well for them to push in, because all of them regrouped at construction and go there. We've seen it on the border game. They definitely play with all 5 of their people for one spot and push that one side, but just a split up between Timber would have helped them. It would have created such chaos that would have led up maybe to a, how to say, maybe an advantage on their gunfights. And an advantage they're gonna have right now is that Brainless had taken out right now say next. So we're now in the 5v4, and we see CCTV open now, and we also see Verge and Nerf trying to hold down in that cache room, but we see Brainless fighting on those windows of gym and bedroom, with having a little bit of support of Carl Roger there, just spotting out the ADS and the Wamai, trying to really burn it through. And Cass is really the only one on side right there, and as he's gonna get picked off by Fluff as he just entered for logistics, taking really advantage there. Verge rotates back to shut down on Fluff.
That was a big play there from Virch. It looked like we were going to see a big site rush, all the control for Timber, but it was very important the Fluff got taken out right there and then. Otherwise, he could have established himself in bedroom, taken up some cover, and then suddenly that site control in the hands of the attackers. Virch is going to find another one onto Brainless, shutting down the Ying, and that's a big one after those first couple of Candelas went out, but he still had 2 in hand, I believe. Now it's a 3 versus 3. They lost their smoke early on, though, so this is going to be a tough hold in terms of the active utility from the defenders. It's pretty much not there. You've just got guns working against these 3 attackers now. It looks as though right behind Temp is Maverick, I believe, of Exile. I think he's gotten in to the hallway, and he will have his frags ready to pop over that that bathroom wall if he can manage to open up a big enough opening. Looks like attackers almost present in gym and ready to go for the plant, but Virch holding this angle. He does need to be careful. Maverick completely unaware of the castle there as Nerf takes him down. Now it's a 2 versus 3. 18 seconds left, and the attackers are just stalled out. They don't know what to do. One found another by Virch. A big triple on the round. Can he make it a 4th? No, he can't. A great headshot from Valber. And now he's in a dire situation, though, with 2 to find. He can't find the first one of the 2. That's Temp, shutting him down. And a very strong hold there from the defense there on Jim. Not often seen.
Timber was really close onto it. They've got open that jacuzzi wall. They were almost in that site, but they just waited out and just like a pick just one by one just happened right there. So pretty much gifting the round to Revenge in there. Yeah, really a shame for Timber, as they had a great start, really leading up very nicely, and just couldn't seal the deal in the end. And we're gonna see now Revenge trying to take on again on Church and Arsenal. So I think we're now getting into Revenge's rotation, if it's gonna continue like that. And just a quick dash on the scoreboard. Yeah, it's of Revenge pretty much having a nicely spread out kills with 4s and 3s. Especially Temp 4 kills right now, Nerf on 3, and also for Verge. And Timber well, one has to be enough in Fluff's case too, and in Exiles, well, not even a single one. But
There are a couple of like missed opportunities. I feel like in that round for frags and for ground taking on the attacking side, like and that that does end up showing up on the scoreboards. For instance, like Exile having that position through the jacuzzi wall behind bathroom in the hallway.
I mean,
We actually heard him.
sorry to stop you, but I'm not gonna see right now an SSG strat, but just the
Oh, we are.
Jaeger,
We
just the
absolutely
Jaeger
are.
instead of Vigil.
It
I
seems
mean,
like we are.
yeah,
Yeah.
we are. I mean,
We've seen it tried a number of times, and it just kind of falls apart sometimes because you could. In fact, yeah, I think I'm going to stall off on that analysis of the previous round because so often the way that you counter this setup is a quick rush, and I just want to be ready for that to happen. So they're taking their time on the rush. It would seem Verge
oh,
going to be finding Fluff on the entry to Garage. You'd expect him to know about that, but poor droning perhaps the cause of that death. So not a good start, and that's your IQ gone as well. When you're coming up against so
really
much
painful.
electronic utility, that's not great.
Uh,
Oh, yep, tunnel
that
rush.
just hurts. But oh, oh,
Roger
oh.
finds one, and
But
looks like
Nerf
we're going
also
to be
finds some brainless.
oh,
No, Nerf finishing off Exile. Valve finishing off Nerf. Verge is down by Carl Roger. It's a 2v2. Valve is planting. And oh, just narrowly missing him. But still gonna get him sprayed down, and that's the plant. That plant is through, but no attacker to defend that. That's
well,
how many seconds was that round now?
I'd make it less than a minute at least. That was very quick stuff from Timber, and it just didn't work out. They were a bit lethargic on that rush. I was like waiting for it to be a rush, and it kind of wasn't. It stuttered basically. We saw
It,
the
it,
early pick not working. Like you know, you don't want to go a man down first thing off on a rush. That's
it was
not
kind of like a 2 gear sort of rush. You know, you have like
yeah.
first two, and then another first two, and then let's. Yep. With that, not even a minute. We're now on 4-0 for revenge.
Yeah, and that's how you counter the SSG roam, but it's also not how you counter the SSG roam. You've got to
No,
get
not
in there
really.
much more quickly than that, and you've got to make sure your backs are covered. So they kind of just walked into the trap, essentially, Timber did there. So it wasn't great, and they probably they won't get another chance at doing that now. So we're going to see a second attempt here at the cash defense.
Well, I'm
And I
really
think,
hoping to see this time that Timber really takes use of their, how to say, previous breaches. So not ending up with, again, 4 to 5 people into that construction. So hopefully having them more spread out, as they definitely would have needed that way. And yeah, just really for them to make sure that they either gain control of that catwalk or have definitely revenge reduced down to just maybe 2 people to really have a construction push, just walk in and pretty much take it with their mans, not really wasting a lot there.
well, they've got Brainless spawning on this side as well as the sledge, so I'll be intrigued to see where he comes in. He might be going for the nade play from this window, perhaps, or looks like he might be trying to just get in via office and assist this take of the bedroom with the thermite and the IQ. I think the most important thing for the attackers here is that they do need to make sure they clear out Virtue from underneath and get into a position where they can get that IQ to take out the Electro Claw, basically, because that was what held them up. There's no Thatcher on the board here, and Maverick will have a very hard time trying to do anything about a well-placed Electro Claw on the other side of that wall. So it's all up to Fluff, really, to make sure he stays alive. But he's also the entry, so that's not ideal. It looks like he is going to go through unscathed, though, so that utility's still protected and in play for the attackers.
And we see right now, again, a more construction based build up from Timber. as we just seen Logistic getting opened, and now really going to contest it. But we see Verge down in Lounge, vital position, especially, but not really where they're gonna go.
We've got maybe one C4 on the side of Revenge, but it's going to be in the hands of Temp. He is actually positioned to be able to use it potentially, but not from beneath. Nerf taking a massive chunk of damage there from a well-placed frag grenade, but and eventually going down to Fluff, just tickling him to death there at the end. And now it's a 4 versus 5, and the defender's definitely under the cosh. They have managed to get that wall open. Carl Roger finding the flanker in Verge, and that's looking really good now for Timber. They might actually be able to find their first attacking round here.
I mean, we're getting close to, but yet again, there's still some points missing for them really to push in, and we see Valcamps getting spotted. We see still some claws active and everything, but just really trying to come down to that last second push. The C4 comes in from Temp. That's just gonna destroy the plant right there, but Fluff is able to take it, and Timber just finished the round by just killing the rest.
That was brilliant. 3 kills from 3 different players right at the final second of the round. There was plenty of time left in the round, so a very well-timed push, but all just catching off their opponents in those gunfights. It's a shame we didn't get to see all of them, but yeah, that's the way it goes. Very well placed C4 from Temp. I did not expect that to connect at all. Thermite must have thought he was completely safe on that desk, but he wasn't, and that gave them some hope. That was probably the last aspect of the defense that Timber really needed to worry about. That and potentially a bit of catwalk presence holding them off. But none of that came into effect, and only the C4. So looks like we've got a fairly spread sort of kill range across the board here. Carl Roger and Temp top of their respective teams. Temp definitely. I believe he came in as a sub last week, and he's playing again this week for Revenge. So he's really putting up good performances for them, and it's actually meaning something in this map as they're up 4-1 on the defensive half, which is definitely what you want on Clubhouse. You want that early, you want those defensive rounds going your way as much as possible. 4-2 would be a sort of respectable scoreline to end on, but if they can manage to get this final defense right as they come back to cash for the third time of asking, then I think we may see Revenge take the win on this map and then give us an overall draw for the day.
I mean, that would be brilliant, but then again, Clubhouse really favors the defenders in. If I were Timber, I would try to go out right now for this attack with a 2-4, and then really rally it back for the defense. But definitely Revenge sits now in a better position. But then again, Revenge still didn't have any attacks as of yet, and we just see right now Excel taking care of that CCTV wall again. But probably this time with the help of Brainless, just one quick smash and we're good to go. Cast down a lounge, and we see Fluff opening up to Jacuzzi wall, getting a little bit of a gunfight with Verge there. He just manages to escape.
These rounds are playing out so similarly every time. We've got the same setup from Revenge, the same attack from Timber. The only difference this time around for Revenge is they've got that Valkyrie. They want to be leveraging the C4s from beneath a little bit more, but obviously those black eyes might be difficult to deal with inside the site as mentioned, so that's probably how we're going to see them used. It looks like almost Exile paying with his life there, but not quite. It seems Timber just have that particular breach down to an art. They really know how to deal with that east wall effectively, and we see some teams stack up, 4 or 5 people there, and that's usually for that take, but they're doing it so efficiently with just the 2 while the rest of the team comes in for this construction push that it just makes it so difficult to hold on to site, and the defenders are really kind of stuck in their little anchor locations with very little maneuverability. Temp going to be tossing out that Electro Claw, and it does actually get taken out. So a good grenade there from, or good impact grenade from Carl Roger, I believe it was, that dealt with that. And that means that this construction wall is going to be hard to keep hold of. But we've got Verch and Kez both sat underneath, holding angles onto it. So the thermite is not safe to place that breach on it. Ooh,
We
Temp's
see
taken
Temp
down.
getting down. He's right now not really in the best position, as Enix is his closest friend probably right now. Fluff taking out Temp. And we just see another one coming in from Verge, taking out Carl Roger. Cass taking down Hexal and Fluff. And the breach is going to get open, but Cass is going to get denied by Valber. So just coming up in to get into a clash. But oh, we see someone sneaking up from Logistic right there. That was Verge taking care of Valber. So just Brainless left. Oh,
He's only got 15 seconds. He's just run over the diffuser there and does manage to down Verge, but going this way, he's got absolutely no chance of making it to the site in time. He'd literally need Revenge to throw their bodies at him for this win to actually come through. So it looks like it's going to be a very solid 5-1 half at the split for Revenge. And they do manage to make Cash a bit of a fortress for themselves.
not ideally for Timber to start the defense, as pretty much a clean sweep is needed for them in order to make it. But it's just gonna be a very, very tough gong, and Revenge sits really just 2 rounds away to really seal the deal right there.
The interesting thing so far for me on this map has been the use of Ying. I did mention it earlier when we had that gym defense not go the way of Timber on the attack. It was that they brought the Ying and it wasn't very effectively utilized. They did manage to get one kill off of it, but it was really just something that you couldn't directly attribute it to the Candela. And in that situation, you could be bringing IQ, you could be bringing any like operator with flashes, potentially the Ash, who's just going to fare a bit better in some straight up gunfights. And I think what we're seeing basically is teams kind of relearning Ying. So she was so much a part of the meta, a couple of years ago with Glaz Ying, smokes everywhere. But now I think that people kind of especially in that time, since the Candelas have been reworked so that they cook differently. They cook more like frag grenades now. And the way they spread throughout the room is definitely better. There's just so many different ways of using them as well that doesn't necessarily occur to people, whether it's using them like fuse charges or just chucking them in or rolling them, banking them off walls. There's a lot of fine details to the way Ying can be used. And I think over the next few weeks, and especially over the course of this league, we're going to see Ying sort of rise to prominence, but also players become much, much better with her as they kind of get accustomed to her mechanics and her physics.
That's the thing. That's pretty much why metas exist. We see operators go from a bad spot into a way more useful, way more playable spot. We see operators whose pick rate are going drastically down through nerfs and whatnot, or just even counters. And what we're gonna see right now is a grenade getting thrown in, but unable to connect to anyone. And Valber sits in a very dangerous spot, but he's just gonna rotate out there and just think like, well, it's not gonna be my fight there.
He
I'm just
probably
gonna leave
bought
this
a
wall to be.
he probably got
Because
bought a good like 30 seconds there just by baiting that C4 though, because that was just so tetchy for Sejanex. He didn't want to be there. He had to take so much longer over this breach than he would have, and now the lovely eye in the wall being opened up by Kez. So a minute 46 left on the round. You got a fairly efficient opening of that wall, but this is definitely a much more east-focused attack from Revenge than we saw from the defenders. Carl Roger finding Kez though, and a nice shot being dropped in chat as he's holding that angle. You can see it there, just into lounge, and that's a Zephyr gone. So your stuns and a lot of your power in the execute off the board, but of course still Ying as an option means that it will be a bit easier. Temp finds Fluff in reply as a bit of a delayed refrag, and your my off the board. He's a gadget that accumulates over time, so losing him early is not a good sign.
especially what Temp has now made, is actually get control of Lounge, but this thing will be instantly denied again by Brainless, as he just comes by and says hello. Absolutely flashed and still getting a few others. So actually, it's for Call Roger there, because the ADS will get burned there, but what probably people didn't see is that Carl Roger got a kill off, and that's why Nerf takes him out. Brainless revenges himself on Nerf, and saying he's gonna revenge on Brainless, so we're just going down the food chain right now.
I don't have any idea why he didn't shoot that drone, but obviously priced his own location a bit more. Didn't want to give away through the gunfire. The frag not quite going through, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway because there is a little magnet to suck that up. But the push comes through, and Valba finds the head of one. Can he find the second? Yes, he can. Temp going down. Great round from the Bandit, and especially from Carl Roger as well on the Kaid. Both of them getting nice little two pieces, I believe. And that's a good first defensive round for Timber.
He just... we're that close. I mean, that grenade on Valba would have killed it. I think the ADS would have took it, but if a magnet would have swept it in, that grenade will be there. So you need to have to destroy it, and if you get your timing right, miss that 1 second, really, you're gonna get really gonna get punished for that. But then again, Valba really played it well, managed to sort out the last 2 kills that he needed to in order to secure that round. And now we're gonna see Timber trying to go to Church and Arsenal, see how this will work out. It's still massively in favor for Revenge, as they still have that 5-0 lead, but then again, is Timber going to be able to continue winning those defenses where it really matters, and still going to come through? And seeing the lineup from Revenge, we have 2 hard breaches in there right now in play. So definitely we'll be expecting to see at least one of the hatch gonna get open, and even a way into tunnel.
Yeah, Timber not opting to bring the Kaid on this defense, instead going for Bandit to protect them a bit more on the kind of lateral side of things, making sure that church wall, for instance, doesn't get opened up. But it's an interesting one because of the bans. I mean, Timber banned out Thatcher, so they could be the ones really leaning into the Kaid if they wanted to on these church defenses, but it was actually Revenge we saw bringing it first time round, so yeah, I always like to question the op choices, but obviously MP7 is just such a brilliant gun, and there are so many other reasons to bring that Bandit over Kaid, or you know, anyone over Kaid really. It's a good kind of healthy defense meta, I think, in a way at the moment, in terms of like operator selection. Whereas perhaps that's not the case on attacking sides, but you've definitely got a lot of options on the defense, and we're seeing that here as the Maestro is also brought out by Brainless. I don't think we've seen him too much at all so far this match.
Not really. I mean, seeing that he is, how to say, the trio of the anchors. Yeah, actually, just really coming up at the first play. We see the hatch getting open in bar, that enabling for Timber really enabling. Sorry, I'm just getting completely mixed up. Revenge having the opportunity now to go into Moto, and what we're gonna see also from Chaos right here trying to contest Blue, getting that one person out of there behind that generator, as he will be contest them through the whole game if he chooses to.
A lot of drones have been taken out. That's something I've just noticed. We just saw one go from Revenge, and that's like with a minute and about a minute 20 left. At that point, there was, you know, that's not great drone economy. All of these defenders mostly hold up on site, but you're going to need to know where they are, because there's so many options in terms of holding those positions. So many anchor points. Fluff though is going to be the first to go down as Nerf finds him. That's the Wamai taken out of the picture. And a gun barrel spotted here behind the bomb chassis as Nerf expects the peek from the Jaeger and does win it out, but he's immediately downed as well in return. But the Ying coming in is shut down by Valber. That's a big pick there. Can he get a second? Maybe not. Just hiding behind the bar. He gets shut down though. And now it's a 2 versus 4 for the defense. Exile going to even out the difference somewhat. Take it down to a 2 versus 3. But the attackers have control of Church. Now it's all up to the defense to try and retake this position. Diffuser could go down fairly soon, but this Evil Eye is going to be a problem for them. They're completely known about. And now the Diffuser isn't going to be stuck yet. Brainless finding the head of one. Sejinex actually does get the Diffuser down, and now he's trapped in this corner. Easy kill for that Maestro. And Exile finds the last one in Moto, and that's it on the defense for Timber. A successful hold in the post plant, and a great little 2v4 clutch there between the Smoke and the Maestro. 5-3 the scoreline.
Timber just managed really to get it through. Timber is going. It's really going up for them. Round 9, we see the 3 to 5. I think I'm getting my hopes more and more up that Timber's gonna actually be able to pull up through. I think we're gonna see the 7-5 coming in, but then again, we go now to Gym Bedroom, a fairly tricky site. We see a Goyo being brought out, a operator that is really gonna help you through there. And just a quick tab on the scoreboard, we see Cole Roger taking the lead for his team on the kills, and Revenge having 2 players right there on 8 kills. We see a 6th pick from Thermite to Capito, so Revenge is putting their weight fully on Xenix to really have that jacuzzi wall open.
Yeah, that's his sole job this time round. Obviously, Kez is going to be the one really assisting that, and potentially Nerf as well with those firebolts. They can be pretty tough to dispel, especially because we don't see a Wamai being brought by Timber. That could be exactly why those bolts are coming out, or that Capital pick is coming through. Because I think, honestly, if you've got Candelas and Firebolts to have to deal with on the defense, then you're not going to be looking very sharp at all when it comes to an execute. So as long as Revenge get their early round right, as long as they get the breaches open, don't lose too many in their sort of initial clears and initial ground gaining, then I think we could see a pretty nasty take from them with both of the Capital and the Ying on their side.
We see right now Revenge going onto that balcony right there, having the on the roof of Strip Club already, and just in general really moving up just on the biggest floor. We see Nerf trying to take a little dip on that stairs right there on that window to see in order to catch someone, but gonna be unsuccessful there as Valva just crosses without getting punished. Xanax now working onto that wall and just making sure that they got them covered.
There's very little protection there for the Bandit. I don't think Valba's going to risk even trying to trick that wall. I mean, it's completely out of the picture anyway because you've got the Maverick being brought, but instead he's got this little bunker of his own, 1 layer behind in Bathroom. So that 90 corridor, basically, the gym corridor, whatever you want to call it, Red Stairs corridor, Red Hall. I've got so many wrong names for this. Just keep, I'll keep listing them. It's basically free ground for Revenge, especially with the Capital now gaining control of these main stairs. And basically, you've got all the defenders pushed back into gym, into Office's bedroom and the bathroom itself. So these smokes, candelas, and firebolts can completely lock out the defenders. As soon as they've burnt up all these gas canisters and maybe gotten rid of a few of these Goyo shields, then the attackers really will have the edge in this push. But a lot of cheeky little angles being held from bedroom might say otherwise.
Oh, smoke coming through, trying to delay off still the push from Revenge there, but we just see Temp trying to cook up a nade, really maybe trying to get it into that bathroom, but not really too confident about it as Tim does it, blows him up. The grenade doesn't land in there from Sanex, almost blowing up himself and his teammate right there. Just narrowly missing that out, and Kalrocha takes the first kill onto Nerf.
He thinks twice about throwing that C4. He knows that they've got the time and the knowledge to use it from beneath onto a gym plant, potentially. Now it's not looking great for the defenders. There we go. There's that default C4 coming out. Temp going to refrag onto Exile in the meantime. Candela's coming through from Virch just to gain control of offices, but only 10 seconds left. Temp finds one. Brainless getting on the board as well, and now it's a 2 versus 1. Just Virch left. He doesn't have Diffuser, and he can't find a kill. Brainless going to shut him down in Bathroom. And that's another defensive round going the way of Timber. They've completed the cycle, and we may well be seeing a big comeback here.
This is really coming into play for Timber right here, and I mean they're just one round away to just even up the score. And if Revenge at least can take one round, it just loses the rest, then at least they're just gonna have a draw. But still, they're bringing it up, and we're gonna see a Warden maybe for the first time ever.
It's happening. The meta is evolving.
Yes.
It's brilliant. They've done it. The devs have done it. They've finally pushed Warden into the meta, and Virch with the big power play, switching off the Ying, making him completely useless. That's great. Although, I mean, he can still see through smoke, but that's the reason you take him. So, yeah, that's a power play from
It's just literally as soon as the flashes are rolling, the Candelas just switch the glasses, and you'll be like, you can't defeat me for that.
Man, that was an exciting pick phase.
Oh,
that's where it's at. Like, I live for the pick phase and the 6 pick phase. That's the real game right there. Anyway, Exile, it looks like he's given. I'd expect him to be given custody of the site rather than this position here, rather than Catwalk, because he's got the shotgun. Yeah. He's got the shotgun, so it's not going to work out for him at all. And you need him in the thick of it, expecting those Candelas or whatever flashes or stuns might come through. He does get stunned, so
if you're able to control that SMG-12 where you're gonna hit all of your shots, then please call me, because you're gonna be the first. Because
that thing is a monster.
that thing is just jumps around everywhere, but also we're just gonna not really jump, but at least gonna fly around, or just some bullets that are narrowly gonna miss out on Brainless right there, as he is just sitting down on the lower staircase. And Carl Roger still having the position obviously on Catwalk. He will be just a huge ass anchor for Revenge to get rid of, and the wall is getting opened, and we've just have CCTV. The breach is now done.
The hole that you open with Zafir on a softened wall by Maverick, it's just so aesthetically pleasing, with like the line at the top and the bottom, and then the circle in the middle. It's like something like a Zelda game or something.
Well, I've seen people who kind of like can't even draw a straight line, and you just end up in a V shape. But that's yeah. And I remember on my second LAN, we played on Clubhouse, and there we just to give you an insight, it was AEQ against Trust Gaming back then, and just seeing how we and Trust Gaming were absolutely useless on using Maverick, because we just couldn't even manage to do so. I mean, that CCTV wall was always closed. It was just had some holes, and just never really successfully been opened. But some of them will be open is the garage door, and the Nerf. He's trying to go for the fight onto Carl Roger, if I believe so. Yes, but we see now Verge from Oil Pit trying to get him burned out, but it doesn't matter, as Sanex is gonna get a kill on him, but still, just a double kill. Like, I've just missed, I think, the half of it.
Yeah, that was 3 kills or 2 kills in very quick succession after the initial pick onto the Catwalk, and Nerf being picked back up means that after that third kill for Session X on the round, it's all down to Fluff in a 1 versus 5. Timber's hopes of a completely flawless first, defensive half rather, are pretty much done and dusted now, as Session X does get the diffuser stuck in default, and there's so many positions being held here, and it's going to be Virch finding the head of Fluff finally to seal out a completely flawless round from Revenge, and that was off the back of a fantastic take onto the catwalk and in garage.
And with that, Revenge secures himself 1 point at least.
Yeah, that was a big round from Sejanek, especially on the Maverick. Great round, doing his job as the Maverick, and then reverting to the fragger role that you expect your Harbreach to do. So, a point at least for the defensive side of Revenge, or the attacking side, sorry, of Revenge, means that they come out of the Playday with at least 4. They've already picked up 3 on after that win on Border. Oh, sorry, they didn't need. They lost Border. What am I saying? So yeah, Timber have 3 points. Revenge have 1, but they could look to seal it out with all 3, and we could get that overall draw that we were talking about earlier.
I mean, that could be the case, but then again, points-wise, it's still going to favor Timber in the end. But yet again, Timber still has, if they manage to win this round, then they come up in a draw. So pretty much time is ticking for them. Really now, no mistakes are allowed to be made. And that's the reason I think why they're going to bring out the SSG strat here. As we can see right on the screen and through the lineup, they want to make sure that they will secure that round with everything they can.
They're my 3 favorite letters when it comes to clubhouse defense. S, S, and G. I mean, S is the same letter twice, but that's just because I love the S twice as much. So, that's fine, that counts. Do you want to, like, talk about the actual game while I just make dumb jokes?
Are we gonna do the... Are we gonna do the Tolder Hap or Happersma or... just one person?
I don't watch enough Benelux to know like Hap's style properly, basically. But
I mean, like you can say like pretty much can clear out. Hap is the guy who played the game, who knows the game, and Tolosmo is just an experienced caster in there. And something that will definitely gonna go in hand is just Fluff picking up a double kill despite Verge having the first pick on Brainless, and now Nerf shutting down on Fluff. But is he still there? Is he... No, Fluff has been taken out. Oh, just again, we just see in such a short period of time, just 4 kills just flying around in just a matter of seconds, and now we're back to another 3v3. We got 2 minutes left. We've got the Vigil out, we've got the Mozzie out, the Ash, the Sophia. So it just in a matter of seconds we turn this game, and we see a push coming in from Temp for Dirt, but not really able, managing to go slightly through, although the kitchen hatch is gonna get opened.
I've got to be favoring the attackers in this situation here. They've got so much time to work out these locations, figure out how these crossfires work. Finally, Valber exposes his head, as they've been getting a bit too aggressive there on the defense, but with no net result at the end of it. Exile going to be taking a chunk of damage there as he peeks through Moto, but now the attackers have a good level of control, especially as they take out Carl Roger. Now it's all down to the Mute, who's managed to get into the main hall, but he gives his position away, and that's an easy shutdown there for Temp. And that is the end of the match. Fantastic performance there from Revenge, sealing out what looked like was going to be a really tough attacking half, with Timber taking the first 3 rounds completely flawlessly, but then 2 big attacks onto Cash and onto Basement seal it out for Revenge, and they take the 3 points off for today, and that's a total draw for the match today.
I am surprised, and I'm actually happy for Timber to really show what they've done on Border and even on Clubhouse. Very nice match. It's just literally came down to just a few tiny details, and oh man, that was a banger. Definitely.
Was a great match, yeah. Really, really strong showings from both sides on both maps. And despite it being a fairly one-sided border, we got a much better performance out of both sides on Clubhouse. Some really nice defensive strats coming through, I found.